Her name is Maya. She's smart. She knows exactly what she's doing. And she's been staring at her phone for 3 hours. He hasn't texted back. She tells herself she's fine. She makes coffee, checks Instagram, puts the phone face down, picks it up again. Nothing. And here's the part that nobody talks about. She's not waiting because she's weak. She's not staying because she's stupid. She's staying because her brain, the same brain that helps her solve problems, make decisions, read people, has been quietly hijacked, and she has no idea it's happening. My name is Professor Hoot, and tonight we're going to talk about Maya, about why the people who hurt us are often the ones we can't stop thinking about why just leave is the most useless advice anyone has ever given, and about what's actually happening inside the brain of someone who loves someone they probably shouldn't. This isn't a story about being weak. This is a story about being human.
Let's talk about what people get wrong about Maya's situation. Most people, looking in from the outside, would say the same thing. He's bad for her. She knows it. So why doesn't she just leave? What they're really saying is, this is a choice. And if it's a choice, it's a bad one. And if it's a bad one, something must be wrong with her. But here's what they don't know. What Maya is experiencing has a name. Psychologists call it trauma bonding, and it is not a personality flaw. It is not a sign of low intelligence. It is not even, technically, a choice. It is a neurological response, a pattern the brain builds automatically, unconsciously, when it's exposed to a very specific kind of relationship. Trauma bonding doesn't happen in consistently bad relationships. It happens in relationships that are unpredictable. Relationships where he can be cold for days and then suddenly, inexplicably, wonderful. Where he ignores her for a week and then shows up with flowers and the exact right words. Maya doesn't stay because the relationship is good. She stays because her brain has been conditioned to chase the good moments. And that conditioning is incredibly hard to undo. In the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment. He put rats in a box with a lever. Some levers gave food every time they were pressed. Others gave food randomly, sometimes after one press, sometimes after 20. The rats with the predictable lever, they pressed it when they were hungry, then stopped. The rats with the random lever, they pressed it obsessively, even when they weren't hungry, even when nothing came out, even when they were exhausted. Skinner called this intermittent reinforcement, and it is the single most powerful way to create compulsive behavior in any living creature. Sound familiar? Maya's relationship is a slot machine. Sometimes she pulls the lever and she gets nothing, but sometimes she gets the jackpot. And the unpredictability of it, the not knowing when the jackpot is coming, is exactly what keeps her pulling the lever. She's not addicted to him. She's addicted to the possibility of him. Here's where the science gets uncomfortable. When Maya thinks about him, when she imagines him texting back, when she replays a good memory, when she hopes this time will be different, her brain releases dopamine. You've heard of dopamine. We actually talked about it in a previous episode, one of the 4 main chemicals your brain uses every single day. But here, it works against her. Dopamine isn't about pleasure. Dopamine is about anticipation. It's the chemical of wanting, chasing, hoping. And here's the critical part. Dopamine spikes highest not when you get the reward. It spikes when you might get it. Which means every time Maya checks her phone and doesn't see a message, her brain doesn't give up. It doubles down. It produces more craving, more obsession. Neuroscientists have found something striking. The brain scans of people in trauma-bonded relationships look nearly identical to the brain scans of drug addicts in withdrawal. If you think that sounds like addiction, you're right, because neurobiologically, that's exactly what it is. When people tell Maya to just leave, what they're actually asking her to do is go cold turkey on a neurochemical addiction, without support, without acknowledging what withdrawal actually feels like. Now do you understand why she's still there?
But we need to go back further, because Maya didn't walk into this relationship without a history. None of us do. There's a concept in psychology called attachment theory. It describes how the bond we form with our earliest caregivers becomes the template for every relationship we have after. Children who grow up with consistent, reliable love develop what's called a secure attachment. They learn that love is safe, that people can be trusted, that relationships don't have to hurt. But children who grow up with love that is unpredictable, a parent who is warm sometimes and cold others, present one day and absent the next, develop something different. They develop what's called anxious attachment. And anxious attachment teaches the brain one core lesson. Love is something you have to work for. Love is something you have to earn. Love is something that might disappear, so you'd better hold on tight. Maya didn't choose this template. She was given it before she was old enough to question it. And then she met someone whose behavior felt unconsciously, uncomfortably familiar. Not good, not healthy, but familiar. The brain, always trying to make sense of the world, said, "I know this feeling. I've been here before. I know how to survive this." What felt like chemistry was actually recognition. So now we come to the hardest part. Maya has tried to leave before, more than once, and every time she does, every time she finally says enough and walks away, something happens that nobody warned her about. Withdrawal. Not a metaphor, not an exaggeration, actual physiological withdrawal. The anxiety, the obsessive thoughts, the physical ache in her chest, the inability to eat, to sleep, to focus on anything else. And then he texts, or calls, or shows up, and every symptom disappears. This is the cruelest part of trauma bonding. The person causing the pain is also the only person whose presence relieves it. Research has confirmed this. Studies show that separation from a trauma bond partner produces brain activity nearly identical to opioid withdrawal. Which means when Maya goes back, she's not going back because she's weak. She's going back because her nervous system is desperate for relief. Telling someone to just leave without acknowledging what leaving actually feels like is like telling someone in withdrawal to just stop wanting the drug. The intention is good. The understanding is not. So what does Maya do? If leaving is so hard, if the brain is wired against it, what actually works? The first thing is the hardest. She has to name what this is. Not, "I'm in a bad relationship," not, "I know he's not good for me," but specifically, "This is a trauma bond. My brain has been conditioned. What I'm feeling is not love in its healthiest form. It's an addiction response."
This is a trauma bond. What I'm feeling is real, but it's not the whole truth.
That distinction matters because you can't fight something you haven't named. The second thing is to stop trying to leave with willpower alone. What Maya actually needs is structure, physical distance from him, people around her who know the full truth, a therapist who understands trauma bonds specifically. The third thing is the most counterintuitive. She has to let herself grieve. Not the relationship she had, but the relationship she hoped for. The version of him that appeared sometimes, the one she fell for, was real enough that losing it is a real loss. And finally, she has to start building a new baseline. The nervous system that has been conditioned to feel that chaos equals love needs to slowly, patiently learn that calm can also feel like home. That peace is not the same as emptiness. That safety is not the same as boredom. This takes time, but it is possible. Maya puts her phone down, not because she stopped caring, but because she finally understood why she cared so much. She understood that what she felt was not a measure of how much he deserved her love. It was a measure of how deeply her brain had been conditioned to chase it. That's a different thing entirely. If you recognized yourself in Maya's story, or someone you love, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not crazy. You are someone whose brain learned a very specific lesson about what love looks like. And that lesson can be unlearned. On the other side of that work is something most people in trauma bonds have never actually experienced. A relationship where you don't check your phone every 3 minutes. Where love is not a reward you earn, but a place you simply live. That is what Maya is walking toward. That's all for today, but before I go, I want to ask you something. Have you ever stayed somewhere you knew you should leave? What finally changed? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. I am Professor Hoot, and I will see you next time.